Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? Big shout out to everybody who's joining me today in this impromptu live. We definitely didn't even give you guys time to even think about it before we decided to hit that live button. So I appreciate you guys who have your notifications set for all and you're always ready when I can pop in and give you a live. And why do we do that? We do that because I'm extremely busy. I got to go to work in like 2 hours, so I don't have a lot of time here to do this live. So I give it to you whenever I can, as fast as I can, because I appreciate you guys. And we want to bring awareness and we want to give a voice to the voiceless. So everybody who's jumping in, I appreciate you. Now, we have a very interesting show to talk about today. These beautiful little girls who are in the back of me right now. These beautiful little girls have something very diabolical in common. We're going to talk about that. We're going to show you evidence of that. And then we're going to think about it. We're going to think about that so that when we talk about Madeline Soto tomorrow on the newest video, the newest audio that was released, I want you to keep these other girls in the back of your mind when we bring awareness to Madeline Soto, which is probably one of the most popular cases of true crime in 2024. But these young ladies needed awareness too. And unfortunately, as a society, we failed them. But that's not why we're here. It's not why we're here. But before I get started, I just got a message from Aki to definitely make sure I let you guys be aware of the fact that we now have a TikTok. We do have a TikTok, and the TikTok is actually doing very, very well. It's actually growing at an exponential rate. And I think the special thing about the TikTok is that this is a long-form show. So when you come here, you're expected to be here for well over an hour, and that's how you take in what I'm trying to give to you, by sitting there patiently listening and interacting with your fellow members inside of the chat. But on TikTok, we have 3 to 5 minutes to give you a snippet of what we're talking about. And I think it's very entertaining. And I really think that Aki does a good job editing it together, that you could get some really nice snippets of some of the more probative or powerful things that I say during these long form shows. You could catch that on TikTok for 3 to 5 minutes and then move on with your day. So make sure that you're subscribed to the TikTok. Make sure you're supporting the channel. And most importantly, make sure you hit that like button while you're here. You put something in the comment section so we can get into the algorithm. So what do these beautiful little girls have in common? Iyana Harris, Madeline Soto, Iyana Sawyer. Sawyer is the one that's on the farthest to the end of the screen. Sawyer was 16 years old. Madeline Soto was 13 years old. Iyana Harris was 13 years old. What do all these children have in common? We failed them. We failed them as a society, and their families failed them. Their mothers, their aunties, their cousins, their friends, they failed them. Another thing that all three of these children have in common was absentee fathers. In each one of these cases, there were red flags. In each one of these cases, these children behind me exhibited behaviors as though they were crying out for help. We ignored them. The school counselors ignored Iyana Harris, even though the day before she died, she went into the school counselor's office and says, I need help, I want to talk, and nobody came down to talk to her. Madeline Soto was having outbursts in her classrooms, crying uncontrollably, sleeping in class, showing all of the signs of trauma, and she would sit with her counselor, and her counselor would give her pen and paper, she'd draw crazy pictures, and guess what? Wasn't enough to call ACS. Iyana Sawyer, her sister, her older sister knew that she was being raped by her uncle. Said nothing. Her older sister had intercourse with the uncle too. The aunties went on the stand and said, we did not like the way he spoke to her, he looked at her, he dealt with her, we thought something was happening. Is there a 911 call that came from the aunts saying, hey, something untoward might be happening here, can we get an investigation? No. Their families failed them. We failed them. So I want to start out with Iyana Sawyer because she's gotten probably the least amount of coverage out of these three beautiful girls. These girls that were robbed from us way too early. These girls that never had a chance. And I dare say, ladies and gentlemen, these girls, where all three of them, in my opinion, because one has not been proven yet, was pregnant. Yeah, I believe Madeline Soto was pregnant, or Stephen Stearns thought she was pregnant. And that's another commonality. These predators used these girls up. They used them up like vampires. They sucked the life force out of these children. And the moment these children got pregnant, when the jig would be up, well, that's when they decided to take their life. We failed these kids. Their families failed them. I want you to listen to Iyana's aunt talk about some of the red flags that she observed between this uncle and this beautiful little girl. I want you to listen to this, guys. We failed these children, and we need to talk about them to make sure that this never happens again, because we can fix this. These children could have been saved if we had the will. These children could have been saved if we cared. Let's keep going.
On direct examination, you didn't like the way he looked at her.
Yes.
And you described that as, hey, I know what a man looks at a woman like, right?
Yes.
Okay. Outside of that, I just didn't like the way he looked at her. Did you ever actually see anything inappropriate between IS and Jonathan Quiles?
Outside of his looks, no.
Okay. Did you ever see any behavior between the two of them that would indicate that there was any sort of sexual relationship going on?
The way he looked at her, my opinion, yes. I did. Let me look at you. That's how he looked at her. Now let's look at you. How you doing, sir?
See, all of these people are ignorant. She can't even express herself. She can't even testify on the stand and properly explain what made her feel that way. And she's so ignorant, she doesn't even know that you can make an anonymous call to ACS. Sometimes that's enough to stop the abuse, even if they can't substantiate it. The fact that the government got involved and people came and started asking questions is enough to either make the victim come forward or even make the predator back off a little bit. She could have made an anonymous call and say, hey, listen, I think something's happening between this man and that person, not my niece and my brother or sister's baby daddy, whatever. No, anonymous call. No identifiers as to who might be making the call. She couldn't make that call. She did not. She sees a grown man lusting after a minor, and it's just something that she just puts in her back pocket. For what? What are you holding that information for? Did you go talk to him? Did you say, listen, why do you always look at her like that? Just throw him off balance a little bit? No, nothing. But now that this girl is dead, well, now you've got something to say. Let's keep going.
He didn't look at her like a how you doing, sir. He looked at her like a man look at a woman.
Okay. Outside of that, you never saw anything that would indicate any sort of sexual relationship between the two of them?
No.
Okay. And you were never confided in by IS or anybody?
Now, occasionally, Kasi said a very interesting statement, and I agree with her 100%. This is not about women. We're talking about these three cases where these young ladies happen to be surrounded by irresponsible female guardians, all right? This is not an attack on women or single mothers. This is not an attack on women. Absolutely not. This is an attack on these three families. Or not even an attack, but a reality of what went on with these three families, with these social groups that were not protecting children. And occasionally Classy said that we need men in our spaces to start checking creepy men, calling them out and checking their own brothers and friends when they act inappropriate. You're 100% correct, because it takes a village. But this is the problem, Classy. The problem occasionally, Classy, your name should be always Classy. I see you in the comment section, you're always classy, so don't ever don't downgrade yourself. You're always classy, not occasionally classy. The problem that we have here, and this is from my personal experiences and my professional experience, is that the predators aren't going to do that around men. The predators aren't going to do that around upstanding men. Like, so for instance, when we go to the Naziah Harris case and we had Naziah and her sister constantly being brought to the shop, who was the man that was in the shop with Jarvis Butts? A bona fide felon, a gangster thug who happened to have his own business. Maybe he was changing his life around. I'll give him that. Just because you have a criminal record doesn't mean you're not a good person or you can't fix your life. But this guy had an ankle bracelet on his leg. Just because he was starting his own business with Jarvis Butts doesn't mean that he had class. Does not mean that he had any semblance of morality, at least to the standard of the rest of us. So the problem occasionally, Classy, is that these predators, they do two things. Number one, when they do act out their perversions in front of other men, they're doing it with like-minded men who have no morals, who have no dignity, who have no class. You know what they say, right? I'm from the islands. We have this saying, birds of a feather flock together. Well, they're flocking with those feathers. They're flocking with those folks who are like-minded with them. And two, they seek out unprotected women and children. They seek out women and children who don't have upstanding men in their house, in their lives. They seek out women who don't have support structures with men in their lives. They seek out the weak. They're not going to seek out that strong woman. They're not going to seek out that educated woman. They're not going to seek out that woman who's divorced, but the father's still in the kid's life and he's seeing the kids every other day and he's calling the kids every single day and he has a great fatherly relationship with those kids. They're not going to seek out the family unit that lives across the street where mom and dad live together and they're a unit and they're a team and their children are happy and trust their parents. They're not going to prey on those kids. They're going to prey on that uneducated, living in poverty, dollar to dollar, cent for cent, rent always late, low self-esteem mother. That's the one they're going to seek out to abuse those children. That's what all of these three girls behind me have in common. Every single one of them. We're in unstable households with mothers who were ignorant and poor and were single and did not have strong fatherly male role models in their life to protect them. Men that they could confide in, men who will model to them what a good man is. They didn't have that. Because if a Madeline Soto had a good father in her life, if a Naziah Harris had a good father in her life, if a Iyana Sawyer had a good father in her life, she would know what this man, who's of a similar age to my father, is doing to me. My father never did that to me. My father never held me like that. My father never kissed me like that. My father never touched me like that. My father looks at me like I'm a human being. If I'm walking around in something tight around my house, my father's not looking at me like I'm a piece of meat. My father's looking at me like I'm his daughter. My father might even tell me, girl, go put some clothes on. Don't have yourself hanging out looking like that. Have some dignity. Have some class about yourself. Don't walk around like that. And I want you to understand, the less clothes you wear, the more negative attention you'll get from these pigs out there on the street. That's what her dad will tell her. So now she'll be able to model and say, what this guy is trying to do to me is not what a man is supposed to do. You know what? Let me go tell the man that I trust the most in this world what's happening or what this person's trying to do. Because in most instances, when you have a strong father role model in the home, the child will come to the father and the mother before it gets out of hand, before it becomes irrecoverable, before the action actually happens that destroys that person's future. They will say, they looked at me funny, Dad. They looked at me funny, Mom. What do you think about that? Or they said something that I felt was a little off-putting, Mom and Dad. What do you think about that? That's what stable households brings to children. Trust. Trust. Trust that child could feel that they could come to you and say something is happening and they won't be judged. Somebody won't say, well, maybe you brought it on yourself because you did this. Or somebody won't say, well, I'm going to choose a sex offender with 21 kids in the Naziah Harris case over my own niece who's 13 years old. A stable household is going to raise an older sister in the Iyana Sawyer case, a sister who would not know that her uncle is raping her younger sister and say nothing about it because she didn't want to be a snitch. It wasn't my business. It wasn't a big deal. He had sex with me too. Big deal. It's not that girl's fault. It's not Big Sister's fault. She was indoctrinated and raised into this insanity. That is what her mothers and her aunts modeled for her. And why do I say mother and aunts? Because there were no fathers in the home. And maybe it was the father's faults that they walked away from these women. They walked away from these children. Shame on them. But the reality is the same. The fathers wasn't there and the mothers were terrible role models and modeled this insanity as normalcy for these little girls, that a older sister could have sex with a pedophile and know that that pedophile is now having sex with her minor sister and say nothing about it because it's normal. She don't want to be a snitch and it's not her business. It's insanity. Listen to this.
Anybody else about there ever being any such sexual relationship between IS and Jonathan Quiles?
We had our own, I didn't speak to IS, no. But, you know, me and my sisters had our own separate, yes.
Okay. Outside of the accusations that you...
I'm so confused because, you know, once again, you know, we're dealing with ignorant people. And we see the worst when, you know, now people, their whole life is out there for the public. Now she's talking on the stand. I don't understand what she's saying. We had our own, what are you talking about? Let me go back. Maybe by hearing clearly the prosecutor or the defense attorney, I don't know who's questioning her. Maybe by hearing this attorney's question, I might be able to understand what she's trying to say. So where we at? We're at 120. Let's go back to 111, and let's see if we can understand her answer.
But, you know, me and my sisters had our own separate.
Go back more.
No, but...
Relationship between IS and Jonathan Quiles.
We had our...
IS or anybody else about there ever being any such sexual relationship between IS and Jonathan Quiles.
Go back even more.
Any sort of sexual relationship between the...
Doing, sir, he looked at her like a man looked at a woman.
Okay. Outside of that, you never saw anything that would indicate any sort of sexual relationship between the two.
All right. So the attorney asks a very specific question. Outside of the looks that you just described that Jonathan Quiles was giving Iyana Sawyer, this beautiful little girl, she's gorgeous, by the way, who had her whole life ahead of her. Outside of the looks that you just described of this man looking at this child like a man looks to a woman. And what does that mean? That means lust and desire. And no man is above that. Because when I look at mommy, I'm looking at her with some lust and desire too. Because I just told her the other day, I said, you're supposed to be getting older, but it looks like you're getting younger. And I can't control myself lately. But that's with a grown woman. And this woman is describing this man looking at this child with lust and desire. And the prosecutor said, other than you describing to us how he looked at this child with lust and desire, those are my words, but that's what she meant. Did you guys ever have any inclination that there was a sexual relationship between Jonathan Quiles and Iyana Sawyer? Listen to her answer.
Two of them?
No.
Okay. And you were never confided in
She said no. The next question is,
by IS or anybody else about there ever being any such sexual relationship between IS.
and now, did Iyana Sawyer confide with you that she was in a sexual? When they say IS, they're talking about Iyana Sawyer, but they don't want to say her name because she's a juvenile. Now, did this is a follow-up question, did Iyana Sawyer ever come and confide in you that she was in a relationship with Jonathan Quiles? Let's see what her answer is.
IS and Jonathan Quiles.
We had our own, I didn't speak to IS, no. But, you know, me and my sisters had our own separate, yes.
All right. And once again, people who can't speak, They got 5th grade educations. She can't even get it out. And a part of it is shame, too. A part of it is shame. I'm going to tell you why it's shame. Because this is the answer she just gave. I'm going to translate it for you. The answer is, she just said, no, Iyana Sawyer never came to me and confided that she was in a sexual relationship with Jonathan Quiles, but me and my sisters had our own conversation about it. That's what she just said. She just said, me and my sisters, the aunties, the protectors, the role models, the women who were raising the next generation of women, they had a conversation that this 41-year-old man was raping this little girl, and it was just talk around the shop for them. It was beauty salon talk for them. It was table talk. It was coffee talk for them. It was water cooler talk for the aunties. And that water cooler, coffee talk, beauty salon talk never translated in anybody calling the police and saying, this has to stop. Let that settle in your souls, people. For all the mothers and the fathers and the sisters and the friends who are watching this right now. Think about it. They knew it was happening, but they talked shop about it. They took no action, and now Iyana Sawyer is dead. Let's keep going.
Okay. Outside of the accusations that you talked about that, you know, between your sisters and you, there was no other information that you ever received that there was a sexual relationship going on between IS and Jonathan Quiles, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You talked about the accusation itself. You said you were the one who made the accusation originally. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that you did that when you found out that she was pregnant.
Yes.
It took a baby to be in her for you to come forward. And she, mind you guys, she didn't come forward to the police. They never came forward to the police. Well, she said the accusation, as in internally in the family, these accusations were made. Internally. There wasn't CPS or police involved. So, because those words matter, guys. Because she said, well, you made the accusation. One would think, us normal people would think that that would mean that she called the cops. That's not what happened. This is all internal family discussions. Now they talking about it even louder within the family, but guess what? Nobody's calling 911. Let's keep going.
Is it true that you actually made a similar type of accusation when the Kamar Humphrey situation occurred?
I need you to be a little more specific.
Okay, let me go back. Do you know who Kamar Humphrey is?
I've never seen him before. I've heard of him, and I know that he used to stay across the street from my sister.
So now they're going to talk about this Kamar Humphrey guy, which was another older man that was preying upon Iyana Sawyer. Because understand this, guys, right? This is a household, and then people like to say that these kids were fast. In the comment section yesterday, some evil soul. I don't want to meet these people in person, but I'd love to be able to just know about them. Because I'm sure they're ugly people in the real world. Some ugly soul in the comment section said that Naziah Harris was fast. Was fast. And then we were listening to an interview with the family members of Naziah Harris, and one of the family members was talking about Naziah Harris's mother, who was raped at 11 years old and had a baby, and that lady was talking about how she was promiscuous and she wouldn't stop having sex, even though she's talking about an 11-year-old girl who was raped and had a child, and then fell into a drug addiction because she was a victim of sexual abuse. And part of that addiction, part of that trauma made her promiscuous. She's talking about the promiscuity or whatever, however you say it, instead of the trauma that's causing it. They love the victim blame. Well, when I was covering the Iyana Sawyer case,
Mr. Kim, have I ever...
I don't even know what happened with that. I think my Bluetooth
disconnected.
I think my Bluetooth is connected to somebody's phone, and I really got to get a hold of it. Since it's on, yeah, I think it's my son's thing. So the Bluetooth is connected, and sometimes it plays crazy songs. Anyway, the bottom line is, when I covered the Iyana Sawyer case initially, I remember people saying that she was fast, that she was all over the place, that she was sleeping with tons of people. Nobody talking about why is a little minor doing this. Why is a little minor sleeping with adults? Well, guess what? If she's raped by an adult when she's a child, and she's having intercourse with an adult from a young age, she's going to be indoctrinated to sleeping with older men. But nobody's talking about that. So let's keep going.
See him? Could I pick him out in the lineup? No.
Okay. Are you aware of a sexual battery that Kamar Humphrey committed
And somebody said, was Naziah a child of grape? No, she wasn't. At 11 years old, Naziah's mother had a son, and she was a victim of grape. And when Naziah was born, she was born to a John, basically, because the mother was involved in drugs. The mother still is a drug addict to this day on the streets. If you go on Facebook and you look up the 7 Mile radio station, it's like a local Facebook kind of live streaming thing. I think they might be on the radio, maybe not, I'm not sure. They do a really good job covering the Naziah Harris case. And they actually went on the streets and found the mom, and the mom was living in abandoned buildings and stuff like that. She's a bona fide drug addict. Now, the father was a John, I believe, and he got her pregnant. He wanted nothing to do with the child. He was married with his own family, and he didn't want to get a divorce from his wife, so he hid and he stayed out of it. When Naziah died, that's when he comes forward. That's when he, is advocating for her to get justice. He was called out in the 7 Mile show. He died shortly thereafter, a couple months later, because he was suffering from, he was severely overweight, and I'm sure he had all kinds of medical conditions, and his weight probably compounded that and added some factors to him passing away. People who did not see the 7 Mile show, which I definitely encourage people to go find on Facebook, a lot of people I saw in the comment section yesterday was trying to have empathy for the father, like, oh, he died, it doesn't matter. He was a deadbeat dad. He had a unexpected child with a drug addict. He wanted nothing to do with the drug addict mother. And of course, he wanted nothing to do with the child that he created with this drug addict. So he will have to answer to that in the afterlife. Whatever God wants to do is above me. I am not the Lord. But he'll have to answer to that because he didn't have to do anything with that mother. He could have saved that child. He could have went to his wife and said, I made a mistake, and this is the product of the mistake, but this mistake is now my life. And I need to be there for this child. And he could have gave her a stable household, but he chose not to. So instead, he gave her the streets, and he gave her to a grandmother that was most likely just grifting off the government, taking care of children so she could collect a check, and not protecting her from predators. Have her living with women who would knowingly date registered sex offenders and child abusers and have multiple children with a registered sex offender and a child abuser. That is the type of people that father left this little girl with, and hence now this little girl is dead. Anyway, let's keep going.
against IS?
Yes.
Okay. And were you aware of that at the time it happened?
I went to the house and I did speak to IS about that.
And did she tell you that that's what happened?
Yeah, we talked. Do you want to know what we talked about, or is
Oh, no,
that hearsay?
No, I don't need you to tell me specifically.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. As far as that time period when Kamar Humphrey sexually battered IS, at that point in time, were there accusations of a sexual relationship made between IS and Jonathan Quiles?
Before that time?
Around that time period, yes.
Around that time? I'm going to say between the sisters.
Boom. Everything is in the family. I'm going to leave it there. Everything is in the family. For years and months, they knew or they had inclinations that this was happening. And what is her answer consistently? Well, between the sisters. And these people, you'll talk to them and they'll tell you they got a close-knit family. Well, yeah, you got a close trauma-bonded family that is an expert at keeping dirty secrets and not protecting children. It was between the sisters. But the sisters did absolutely nothing to protect this child. Nothing.
And
So now we're going to play, this is another aunt giving an impact statement against Quiles. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
Ma'am, are you related to IS?
Yes, I am.
And
And
how?
hold on, guys. Please do me a favor, hit that like button. You guys are killing me over here. We have almost 200 people watching the show right now on the live stream. Do me a favor, hit that like button, support the channel. Let's give a voice to the voiceless because nobody cares about these little girls. Out of these 3 girls, Madeline Soto got the most coverage. She got international coverage. I got people writing me emails from Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, thanking me for the coverage that I've done on Madeline Soto. Nobody is covering Quiles. Nobody's covering the legacy of Iyana Sawyer. Just now, because the judge made a viral judgment to send this case to trial, are people now talking about Naziah Harris. If that judge did not get up on that stand and give an epic speech that touched all of our souls and eviscerated her family for abandoning her and not standing up for her and not protecting her, if that judge did not have the courage to call out those evil people that Naziah called her family, guess what? Nobody would be talking about it. I talked about her before. I did a Maddie show and I got 10,000 views. That Maddie show now got 30,000 views. And the next day, I did a Naziah Harris show, and it got 1,500 views. I'm not trying to shame you as the audience. You do whatever you want. I'm not here to shame you. I'm just here to tell you how much babies matter, certain babies matter on the internet. How much certain babies matter. I'm going to do a show tomorrow on Madeline Soto. There'll probably be 400 to 500 people in here on a live. We got barely 200 now. Let's keep going. I'm just about reality. I'm not trying to hurt people's feelings. I'm just about reality because I really care about the children. When I get in my car and I drive to work and I clock in, I'm caring about the children. That's my job. Unlike some people in this world, it's not a part-time job for me, or it's not only when it's entertaining. It's a life's mission to care about these children. Let's keep going.
I'm
her aunt.
And are you Kim Mobley's sister?
Yes.
And Ms. Dixon, did you provide a victim impact evidence statement?
Yes, I did.
And would you please read verbatim your victim impact statement, ma'am? And take your time.
Absolutely. Your Honorable Court, my name is Paula Dixon, and to the family, it was no secret that I was Iyana Sawyer's favorite aunt. I remember the day she was born like it was yesterday. I received a call advising me that my sister had gone into labor. My husband and I gathered our children and met my mom and my sister at the hospital. After hours of labor, Iyana Michelle Sawyer made her grand entrance into the world, and it was love at first sight. My Princess Yana Boo was the perfect baby. Her smile was so contagious. This was my sister's first child, so she did everything by the book. I literally watched her embrace her new role as a mother. We had our first birthday party at my house, which I will never forget. I said, Yaya, what do you want to eat? She pointed to the plate and said, beans. We pulled out the smash cake, and she sat on my lap as I fed her. My sister came up with the bright idea to push her face in the cake, which I simply refused to do. Instead, I took her hand and stuck it in the cake. She turned to me, held out her hand, and said, it's dirty. It tickled me something serious. Shortly thereafter, Maya was born. My sister couldn't wait for her daughters to finally meet. My two nieces were inseparable from that moment on. My mother raised us to always be there for your sisters, and I can see that my sister was ensuring that our next generation would do the same. In years to come, she would gain 2 additional brothers. Being the oldest, she became a natural-born leader. She would teach her younger siblings how to read, write, do math, and a plethora of other things. She utilized the leadership skills that she gained at home to pursue other endeavors at school. She was an honor roll student, a crossing guard, and a great friend, to name a few things. She was the definition of, if I can believe it, I can achieve it. She never let a challenge stop her because she knew she could do or be anything she put her mind to. At an early age, we saw that she strived to be the very best and that she always wanted to be a top performer. As a family, we encouraged her to never settle for less because we knew she was destined for greatness. She began receiving scholarships when she was in elementary school. And by the time she entered middle school, she was in honors classes. She began doing extracurricular activities such as playing the violin and joining the step team. As she entered high school, she began taking college courses and was on track to graduate early. She loved to dance and had the craziest sense of humor. One time she called out to one of her brothers telling him that she needed help.
You know, the funny thing is about these little girls, and one of them, it's understandable why it wasn't the case for her. See, Naziah Harris and Iyana Sawyer were really good students. They were really involved in school. They took school seriously. They had a good time in school. They had a lot of friends. They were good students. Now, Madeline Soto wasn't a good student, but Madeline Soto's story is a little bit different than these other two girls in that I believe that maybe these two girls, but we don't have it documented, they probably experienced their own sexual abuse when they were younger, probably. But we have documented that Madeline Soto was experiencing nonstop abuse at a very high level from a very, 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 very young age. And that amount of abuse, unchecked, because we know from following that case, that Jen Soto was not checking that abuse. Jen Soto didn't give a damn about anything but sleep and drugs. So every single night, I think everybody's got a different number, but it's around 3 to 4 times out of the week, Madeline Soto was being abused by Stephen Stearns. 3 to 4 times a week, she was being abused and being kept all night, sleep deprivation, the whole nine. So she was a terrible student. But she was a terrible student because she was dealing with an immense amount of trauma and PTSD and nonstop abuse that she could not escape because mommy needed to sleep and mommy needed her drugs. She needed her Adderall. She needed her ADHD medicine. She needed her bipolar medicine. She needed her Tylenol. She needed her freaking candy to suck on before she go to bed. And she needed her teddy bear for her to snuggle with, for her to be comfortable at night. She needed everything but Madeline Soto. Everything but to protect her own daughter, but to pay attention to her own daughter. Oh, and most importantly, she needed Madeline's abuser. She needed Stephen Stearns in her life to give her purpose so that she could say, I got somebody. And she could also have somebody to take care of Maddie. But I just find it interesting how these children, with the exception of Maddie, and we're gonna give Maddie grace too, because at least Maddie was somewhat functional. She still had friends. She still smiled a little bit from time to time. But I find it interesting that regardless of the trauma that these children were put through, they all, in their own way, still managed to excel, still managed to function, still managed to survive. And I think that's a testament of their strength and a testament of their character. And it's also very, very, very sad because if they had the opportunity to live, the sky's the limit of what they could have achieved. They were surviving through unfathomable trauma and pain, but they still were resilient. What could they have made of themselves if they had the opportunity to live? Let's keep going.
He came running in to see what was wrong, and as soon as he hit the kitchen floor, boom, he slipped and fell on the dishwashing liquor that she put all over the floor. She got a good laugh off of that one. This is just one of the many jokes she played on her siblings. She was the best big sister and very big on family. She was truly her mom's little mini-me. Her siblings looked up to her. As time went on, she became a big cousin. The babies just loved her. My nephew was so crazy about her. One time she was sitting at the top of the stairs and he began climbing up the stairs to get to her. He made it about halfway and said, "Ya."
What I want to do now is I want to go ahead and find, I think this will be just 2 more I want to do for Iyana Sawyer. And the reason why I'm going to talk about these other young ladies too briefly before we get out of here, because we've covered them a lot. So when I talk about them, you're going to be hearing things that we've already covered. We have not covered Iyana Sawyer as much. Nobody has. And I want you to get exposed to her. I want her part of your lexicon. I want her a part of your world. I want us to say her name. I want us to not forget Iyana Sawyer. We can't forget her because she deserves not to be forgotten. And even though this man is doing life in prison, and I wish he would have got the death penalty, but he didn't. He's doing life in prison consecutively. He'll never get out. He got multiple life terms. I feel like she was robbed of the world knowing who she is and what she would have become, which is somebody beautiful, a good human being, a mother, a contributing member to society, regardless of her trauma. But I want to play two more things. I want to find his wife, Jonathan Quiles' wife, her aunt. Jonathan Quiles was not related to her. We said his niece because he was legally married to her aunt. And her aunt was defensive. Her aunt defended him when the sisters came to her and said, we think something might have been inappropriate. Now, listen, all right, we'll give them deference. We'll give them deference because they at least went to the wife. They never went to the police. They never went to the police, but they went to the wife. She didn't take those claims seriously. She didn't believe that this man was capable of doing that. She chose her husband over her niece. I want you to listen to her, and then we're going to listen to the text messages that they were sharing between each other. Let me bring it back to me. You guys know I like things to be nice and smooth with these transitions. And let me see if I can find it. I think her name is Naomi Mobley. Naomi Mobley. By the way, there's a hero in this Iyana Sawyer case. And the hero is Jonathan. So we said that in the comment section that men need to step up when their brothers and their friends are being creepy. Well, a man did step up. A man stepped up and is the reason why Jonathan Quiles is in jail now, spending the rest of his life in prison. And that's the brother of Jonathan Quiles. That was a hero because his brother he confessed to his brother and confided in his brother, and his brother gave it up. His brother did not hesitate to give it up. His brother testified against his own blood brother. And I think it's important that we acknowledge that there are stand-up guys out there. And a man did do the right thing, did step up, and did help put the nail in the coffin for this evildoer by the name of Jonathan Quiles. Let's go ahead and bring this in real quick.
Naomi Mobley, Your Honor.
And yeah, also somebody said in the chat, the wife was pregnant at the same time, and I believe she had the child. So Jonathan Quiles now has another child with this woman, a child that was born from this rapist seed. Not that the child is of any fault, but it's so amazing how, these people with flawed DNA love to procreate the most. They're like little viruses. They're like parasites. The good people, we check our budgets and our finances. We practice birth control and all that kind of stuff. And we say, you know what? We can't afford another kid. That's why I don't have 4 kids, because we look at the numbers. We're like, we're living comfortably. We can't afford another kid. 3 is enough. We've done our part for society. We've done our part for the human race. We move on. That's what responsible people do. But the irresponsible people are always the ones with 50,000 kids. Jarvis Butts has over 21 kids that they know about. Over 21 kids that we know about. This guy, Jonathan Quiles, has multiple children. I don't know the number, but I remember when I covered it, he had multiple children with multiple women. And while he has this child pregnant, his wife is pregnant at the same exact time. It's amazing how the bad guys are programmed to do that. They're programmed to spread their ugly, disgusting seed. That is thousands of people that's going to be spawned throughout the generations from Jarvis Butts. His DNA literally will spawn thousands of people in the next 100 years. 21 kids. For each one of those kids, they can make anywhere from 0 to 10 kids. And in those kids, each one of them will make anywhere from 0 to 10 and multitudes and multitudes. And whatever flawed DNA is in this person to make them do what they did, if that's even a thing, well, guess what? It's now out there into this universe, into this world. 21 kids. Jonathan Quiles, a child will be born while his father on sentencing day. It's not really what happened, but I'm just using my imagination. The child is born on the day he's sentenced to consecutive life sentences. Automatically born into a single parent home and born with the legacy. Well, who's your dad? Well, what's your dad? Oh, Baby Strategic says, my dad is a sex crimes detective. Another, my dad is a contractor. Another one, my dad is a doctor. Now they go to baby Jonathan Quiles. Well, what is your dad? Well, my dad is a convicted, murderous, sex offending pedophile. Think of that legacy that child has to walk around with. That baggage. The confusion. Because guess what? I listened to 1,000 jail phone calls. These guys are now perfect dads when they're in jail. And now this child is going to speak to him growing up, and he's going to spin the narrative. He's going to try and be a good role model, and this child is going to grow up confused, loving this incarcerated dad who will listen to him all day long and give him advice that's never going to upset him because he don't want the child not to pick up that next collect call. And that child will never understand the true monster that his dad is, the true monster that Jonathan Quiles is, because guess what? All he's going to know is the nice guy on the other end of the phone that talks to him for 35 hours a day. Let's keep going.
How long have you lived in the Jacksonville, Northeast Florida area?
The majority of my life.
I think she's a truck driver or something like
About
that.
43 years on and off.
Now, Ms. Mobley, I want to direct your attention back to the time period of 2017 to 2018. Who did you live with at that time?
I lived with my then husband and our daughter.
All right, and your daughter's initials, please.
NQ.
Now,
Big shout out to Obsidian, who's celebrating her 1 month anniversary as a member, as a White Shield member. That's a very high tier. Appreciate you. Says, yay, 1 month justice for these beautiful girls. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And yes, we do have a membership program where you get a ton of exclusive content. So please do consider becoming a member. We also have a Patreon where we post all the things that are too violent or violates YouTube's terms of service. We post that on the Patreon because we don't want to get banned. We don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. So you can find that on the Patreon. And now we have a TikTok, and our TikTok is on fire. People are loving the TikTok. People are just flocking to it. We clip these videos. We break them down. Go check out the TikTok. Make sure that you are signed up to be a member of the, not a member, but you're subscribed to the TikTok, whatever you verbiage they use over there. It's for the little kids. I don't know what they say over there. What are you like a homie on TikTok? I don't know. You're a subscriber on YouTube. You're a member on the YouTube membership. You're a Patreon on Patreon. Maybe you're a homie on TikTok. I don't know what it is. The bottom line is go to TikTok and make sure that you're following me there as well. Let's keep going.
when you say your then husband, for our record, would you name who that was?
Jonathan Jaco Quiles.
And will you spell that middle name?
Jayco.
And do you see Jonathan Quiles in the courtroom right now?
I do.
Will you describe where he's seated and an article of clothing that he's wearing?
He is seated to the right of his defense attorney, or to the left of her. He has his hair in a ponytail, blue shirt, and glasses on his face.
Ma'am, Your Honor, may the record reflect that you've identified him.
So reflected.
Ma'am, how long were you married to the defendant? Approximately.
Prior to his arrest?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to his arrest was 5 years, and after his arrest, it was probably another year or two before the divorce was final.
At one point between 2013 and 2018, did you and the defendant and your family live on East 16th Street?
Yes.
Is that Duval County?
Yes.
At one point, did you move to another residence at 528 Trout River Road?
Yes.
And when did that move take place?
In April 2018.
Who was living in the household during that early to mid portion of 2018?
Just myself, him, and our daughter.
And how old at that time approximately would your daughter have been?
She was 3 at that time.
Yo, big shout out to MM Claire with a $4.99 super chat. She says, thank you for bringing justice to these little girls. Love you, Strategic. I love you too, and I appreciate you. Thank you for helping me on this endeavor to bring justice to these children and give a voice to the voiceless. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And with respect to those were single-family dwellings, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the jury's seen those, and we won't go through any photographs. When you moved in April of 2018, at some point in time, either before or after that, did you become pregnant?
It was after.
All right, and approximately when did you become pregnant?
I was aware that I was pregnant in June 2018.
And throughout that point from June of 2018 moving forward up until December of 2019, did you have nieces that would come over and assist you and your family?
Yes.
And would you tell us who that they were?
You want their full names?
You can just use initials.
IS and SS.
And what in general would be the purpose of them coming over to assist? Like specifically for what?
They would come and help assist with my daughter while I was at work, or just assist, spend time with me.
All right, and because you mentioned your work, will you tell us at that time where you were working?
When we moved to the Trout River world, I started working at my current job where I am now.
Where's that?
At Citrus Transport.
And what do you do there?
I am a driver, recruiter, and coordinator.
And prior to when you took that job in 2018, what were you doing prior to that?
I was driving.
Right. So just wanted to clarify. Somebody said in the chat, and I remember when I covered it initially, he was home while mommy is working. He was home with an injury. He was a knee injury. And so he was bedridden for a while, and these girls would come over, his nieces, to assist him. And obviously, while she's working and these little girls are supposed to be there assisting, he's diddling the girl. He's abusing the child. I want to go ahead now. I just wanted you to get a taste of, the adults that were in her life, right? I don't have a timestamp, so I don't know at what point they asked her about when she was confronted with the nieces. I mean, with the sisters, with her own sisters, her blood sisters, about her husband being involved in a sexual relationship with her niece, and she defended him. I don't have that timestamp, so I can't play it. We'll just pick 42 minutes and 21 seconds. Let's see what they're saying. But I want to go ahead and get those text messages read for you guys, because we got to get out of here soon.
Was there a time period in December where his hair changed, his hairstyle?
Well, he would go from braids to.
Same time period, do you recall there being a falling out between your sister Jametta and Mr. Quiles?
Okay. Oh, look, the good Lord is shining a light on us. We just randomly picked a section, and it looks like they're about to talk about it. Let's see if I'm correct.
There was a falling out that was happening all the way around with my family around that time period.
After that accusation came out and you got your assurances from your nieces as to nothing having been going on between them and Mr. Quiles, did IS and SS continue to come to your house?
Yes.
Remember, he was having sex with both of them. He had sex with both of those girls. Both of them. Both of them.
Was that at your request?
No, it was mine. It was if they text and asked if they could come over, I would tell them to ask their mother, and oftentimes they would text and ask if they could come over.
Okay. And that
You just got a falling out in your family because they're thinking that your husband's sleeping with these girls, but you're still allowing them to come over. You still allowing them to come over, whether you believe your husband or not. You still allowing them to come over. And you don't think it's weird that your sisters are accusing your husband of sleeping with minors and your husband would still want them to come over. If I'm dealing with somebody, God forbid, because I don't want to leave my situation and have to be starting all over again, Oof. The dating world out there, I feel sorry for any of you people who's dating. We as a society have destroyed dating. Dating sucks. And anybody who's single in here, you probably agree with me. So I'm happy right where I'm at. But if I'm in a dating world and I have some crazy people, because you got to be crazy, you got to make them allegations against me. I have some crazy people saying, oh, I think something untoward is happening between this person and that person. I'm going to say, you keep those effers away from me. I don't care what they mind is. I'm saying they all effers, because that's such a serious allegation. I hate everybody now. Keep them all away from me. Keep them light years away from me. I don't even want to see them at a family function. You know what, honey? When you go for Thanksgiving, bring me some leftovers. I'm going to stay right here and watch the Yule log burn on my flat screen TV. I'm not coming. You don't think it's weird that he's accused of sleeping with these minors and he still wants them to come around, even though people are making allegations against him that could conceivably send him to jail? You're just like, nope, not my husband. Oh, he'd never choose these little girls over me. It's a lie. And by the way, guys, come on over. Come on over when I'm not home. Oh, yeah, my husband wants you to come over while I'm not home. Come on, man. Like, somebody just did it in the chat. Rochelle Sean put a red flag up. Like, do you have to spell it out for these people? Like, these folks, you literally got to walk in and see them like this before you say, oh, it's happening. But if you come in and the pants are down to the ankles and the victim is half naked, but you don't see this, then it's like, oh, no, it's a misunderstanding. Yeah, you guys got your clothes wet, so you just changing your clothes in front of each other. Oh, I get that. That's okay. Nothing's happening here. You literally got to see them connected, stuck together for you to believe it's happening. Some of these people are so ignorant and stupid, it doesn't make sense. It's like, how do they go to work and do their job because they're so stupid? How do they pay their bills? How do they have a house? How are they able to pay their bills, pay the rent? Because they're just so stupid. Because they lack common sense. All the writing is on the wall that something is inappropriately happening, and guess what? You're still grasping for straws to say, not my man, couldn't be my man. The girl got to be pregnant and dead for you to finally say, yeah, it was my man. It happened anyway. I don't want to turn this into like the social politics thing, but this word just keeps popping up in my head. You're such a pick-me. And I don't really know exactly what that means. So for some of y'all ladies who's in, you're like, oh, no, strategic. You don't really know what that means. But it's just in my brain. She's such a pick-me. Such a pick-me that she did everything that she could do to try and stave off this moment. And it happened anyway. And that was a divorce and losing the man. You ended up losing the man anyway. You could have lost him a whole lot sooner and saved your niece's life in the process. But you're such a pick-me, you wanted to keep him in your world. And what ended up happening? He killed your niece, and then you still ended up losing him. And now you're stuck with a baby that belongs to him that you now have to raise for the rest of your life. That child asking, where's my daddy? Now you got to take his phone calls every day. Do you guys know that these murderers and rapists can sue in family court to get visitation for their children? Did you guys know that? You know there's been cases where a rapist who raped a victim and got the victim pregnant and that victim decided to keep the child, that rapist sued for custody rights? And in some cases, they won? And now that victim has to make arrangements to send that child to the jail to visit their dad every now and then? You know that? You know that's possible? That it has happened before? That's craziness, but it's a reality, man. It's unfortunate how these people put their own loins and desires before the children. 90% of these crimes committed against children are done because the adults in these children's worlds put their own loins and desires before the kids. Shame. Let's keep going.
That's going to be my next question. Did they do that with their mother's permission? Come over to your house?
I would never get any of my nieces or nephews without their parents' permission.
So is it your assertion right now today that every time that IS and SS would come over to your house, you were aware of it and your sister Kimberly Mobley was also aware of that?
That is if it happened under my say-so. Now, what happened while I was at work, I can't attest to.
Okay. Covering your own ass, speaking your ghetto version of legal speak, talking circles in your booty hole. Why? So you could cover your own butt. Oh, well, if it happens on, you got me on the text messages saying that it happened, but if I wasn't there, then, you can't blame me for that. Covering her own ass. Guess what you are? You and your sister, you're a co-defendant. In my opinion, you a co-defendant. You should have been a co-defendant. One Man's Trash celebrating their 4 months as a recruit member. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. One Man's Trash. Let's keep going.
And let me ask you about that time period when you were working. How long were you working where you were away from the home overnight?
That was in the East 16th house in 2017, and I worked that job. I don't remember how long it was. I know it was past the time of him healing, and I moved out of that job because the tractor that we owned broke.
Okay. And during that time period, you said you were taking jobs, you would leave like 3 o'clock in the morning, you'd be gone.
Oh, well, I had another job after our truck broke to where I was driving as a yard jockey for a company, and I started my shift around 2:30 in the afternoon, and I would finish anywhere around 12 midnight and 2 in the morning. And those were periods of times where my nieces, the girls, would come over and they would help.
They were spending the night in that house with that man. They were spending the night in the house with that man, and he was having intercourse with both of these minor girls. The funny thing is, this is how the cycle doesn't get broken, because these girls, they were so indoctrinated into this life that they didn't even think anything was wrong with it. They just thought, oh, I'm having sex with a handsome man. It didn't matter to them that, number one, it's rape. It didn't matter to them that it was scandalous, that this person was technically their uncle. It didn't matter to them that they were actually aiding and cheating against their own blood relative, their aunt. It didn't matter to them because they're victims and because they were indoctrinated into this, because this is what was modeled to them by their own family, by their own mothers, their own aunts. And to be honest with you guys, let's say she never got pregnant. Let's say they ended up, because, she's a young girl. Maybe she meets a little boy that she likes and she doesn't want to mess with this old man anymore. This guy would have never got caught. He'd have never got caught. This young girl would have grown up, normalized that it's okay to have sex with older men. She'd be getting into relationships with men who are similar to people like Jonathan Quiles, because that is what she has been indoctrinated into. And the cycle of abuse will continue. 20 years from now, she come to Thanksgiving with the family and see Jonathan Quiles and been like, no big deal, even though she was having sex with him when she was a little girl. No big deal. This happens every single day in our families, every single day in the real world. People are indoctrinated into this cycle of trauma. If he would have never, or rather, if she would have never got pregnant, he would have never got caught, and this cycle would have just continued. Unfortunately, the cycle ended in tragedy because the little girl is dead. And he got locked up. But what about the people left behind? Did you learn any lessons, Miss Mobley? Did your sisters learn any lessons? Will you guys break the cycle for the little girl that you have home, that you're raising, that belonged to Jonathan Quiles? I don't know what the gender is of the second child they had, but I know the first child they had was a girl. When will the cycle end?
Help out.
Okay.
Would you like the dates for that time period?
Sure. If you know the exact dates and you can recall, that's fine.
That was after Christmas, the beginning of 2018, up until I started my new job in April 2018.
All right. So I want to ask you about, I'm going to fast forward just a little bit to December 6th, and that was the date that you testified on direct about there being an accusation, once you found out that IS was pregnant, that Jonathan Quiles was Jose and the father of IS's baby.
Wow.
That is correct.
And that was December 6th.
And they tried to like fake it, like, oh, my baby daddy, his name is Jose. You know, they had to pick the Spanish looking guy because Jonathan Quiles is light skinned. So there has to be an explanation as to why that baby, if it was born, would come out yellow. I'm not being colorist. I'm trying to figure it out like you guys. So she chose whoever came up with this plan. I'm sure that this young lady was a part of this plan. They chose to use the Spanish guy's name to explain why the baby would come out looking racially ambiguous. But let's keep going. So Jose is actually Jonathan Quiles. Let's keep going.
2018, correct?
That is correct.
At that date and time, accusations or allegations that Mr. Quiles was Jose was happening right then and there.
Yes, at that time. That is the first time that I saw.
And that was 2 weeks or so before IS went missing.
Yes.
Did you again confront and ask IS and or SS about that specific allegation?
We found out that they were pregnant, that she was pregnant December 3rd. Iyana.
You see that they were pregnant? She's saying it like that's how you talk about like a husband and a wife who's pregnant. You say they was pregnant. And the way she's answering, does it sound like she believes that her niece was a victim of sexual assault? Does she believe, from the way she's talking about it, does she sound like, does Naomi Mobley sound like she's speaking about a child who was groomed and abused by her husband? Or does she sound like she talking about a boyfriend and a girlfriend who got pregnant, a husband and a wife that got pregnant? They got pregnant. Ooh. Am I the only one disgusted? But let's keep going.
I'm sorry, IS and SS, they never stayed at our house again past November 2018. So at that time, there was no need for me to reach out and ask again because they were no longer coming and staying at our house.
Right. So the child is pregnant. The rumors are flying around that the husband, your husband, the person you chose, is the father of that child that is brewing in our victim's belly. You then just said on the stand that they now could not come over to your house because that was a straw that broke the camel's back. That small little straw broke the camel's back. That was it. That was your breaking point. So now the little girls are no longer allowed back into your home, and there's now no reason for you to reach out to your nieces because you're done with it. You didn't want to know no more. There's no reason for you to get to the bottom of it if your husband really is the father of these children. There's no reason to call 911. There's no reason to call ACS. There's no reason to investigate further to make sure that you're not living, cavorting, and procreating with a pedo sex offender. No, there's no reason for that. Just make it go away. Just make it go away. We're done. Oh, boy. Now you really see the character of these people. See, the proof is in the pudding. You got to study their words to understand what they're saying. These people are not sophisticated enough to hide their disdain for the victims. This is not an aunt that lost a niece. This is a woman scorned who was cheated on by her husband and some floozy that was sleeping with her man behind her back. That is what you see on this stand right now. Not a loving aunt whose niece was abused and groomed, and she's upset with the husband for ruining both of their lives, the lives of Naomi and the life of Iyana. No, that's not what we see here. We see a jilted woman, and she's talking like a jilted woman. These people should be ashamed of themselves, and that's why we're here on YouTube to call them out. Let's keep going.
At that time, when I told him to stop communicating, of course they weren't at our house at that time.
Okay. So you never did ask IS specifically about this allegation?
I asked her if he was being inappropriate when I asked SS the one time, and that was that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so close.
Because that's what an aunt is supposed to do. That's what a protector is supposed to do. Just ask you one time, and that's it. Don't get the authorities involved in nothing. But you know it happened. That's why they weren't allowed back into your house. You knew that he was the father of that child. You knew he was sleeping with that child. That bum laid on that couch. First of all, he worked a mediocre job before he got hurt. So he got hurt. So, you know, people get injured. It happens. He's not a bum for recovering. He's a bum because he had a mediocre job, and she had to go out there and work 2 jobs to support their household. Don't get it twisted. She's a hardworking woman. I don't appreciate how she treated her niece, but she was working her ass off to support that family while that bum sat on that couch, took his time healing, and raped her niece in the process. Unbelievable.
Closer into that December time period, you never had any conversations with your nieces, even if it wasn't at your house, at another location, confronting them about this specific allegation?
The last time my nieces stayed at my house was the most strange time they had ever stayed at my house. And in that time, I decided that I was going to go ahead and take them back early. And when I was taking them back, IS sat in the front seat of the car. She turned her back to me. She looked out the window. She gave me no communication whatsoever. As a matter of fact, IS and SS stayed in the bedroom right across the hall from me and texted me if I could order them a pizza, which is what led to me taking them home early. So at that time, I took them home while he was still at work.
Right. So they're mad at you for leaving. These are teenage girls. They're mad at you because you want to bring them back early, and you never want to ask, why do these girls want to hang out with my grown-ass 40-something-year-old man husband? You never asked yourself, why do they want to hang out with him so badly? Because, like, this happens all the time, that there's that uncle that little girls want to hang out with all the time. It's okay to have a favorite uncle. I'm not saying being a favorite uncle means that you some creep. Not at all. But it's normal that 2 teenage girls are going to want to spend umpteens amount of hours in your house when you're not home with your husband. That's normal. And so you said that with pride, like, man, when I was taking them home, they didn't even want to talk to me. You said that with pride, like you solved the case. Look, it's not my fault. They didn't even want to talk to me. These people are so deluded, man.
That was the last time that they were over the house. And at that time, I had no idea that she was currently pregnant.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Let me talk to you about Snapchat. You stated that you were aware that Mr. Quiles was Snapchatting and talking to your nieces or whoever on Snapchat, correct?
Correct.
In fact, it wasn't any sort of secret or anything like that. If he was Snapchatting your nieces, he would say, I'm Snapchatting the nieces, correct?
No, he would not say, I'm Snapchatting. What, is he going to just announce, hey, I'm Snapchatting my nieces? I never asked who he was texting, who he was snapping, if he was texting, if he was snapping. I did not bother him when he picked up his phone, so there would be no need to announce that he's snapping or texting anyone, including my nieces.
So let me ask it a different way, and it may just be, let me just back up a little bit. If he was on his phone, if you asked him, hey, what are you doing? Would he not tell you, hey, I'm Snapchatting IS, or I'm texting whoever? Would it be something that was a secret, or would he tell you, hey, this is what I'm doing, if you asked him?
If I asked him, he would tell me what he was doing.
So it wasn't any sort of secret that he kept from you about Snapchatting your nieces, correct?
Correct.
It's nasty work, bro. It's nasty, nasty work. We could literally sit here for another 30 minutes watching the rest of this interview. I want to go ahead and get those text messages up, and then we'll start wrapping the show up. But the text messages, once again, trigger warning on this. I had to give you guys a trigger warning yesterday when we discussed Naziah Harris text messages. I'm not going to lie to you. These are no better. These are no better. It shows even more sophisticated groomer and controller than Naziah Harris. Naziah Harris, this guy was just like he was not even nearly as sophisticated as any other criminal. He was just a disgusting, degenerate, horny toad. This guy is much more sophisticated in how he indoctrinated and groomed Iyana Sawyer. So let's go ahead and And let's listen to that, man. And once again, trigger warning. It's definitely a very, very sad thing that we're about to jump into. Let's do it.
And the next entry?
8/21/2018, 3:22. I don't like nobody hurting you but me.
And the next entry?
8/22/2000.
I don't like anybody hurting you but me. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's a very salacious thing to say. I think he's not being metaphysical. I think he's being naughty, but you decipher that how you want to. Let's keep going.
2018, 12:02. I'm sorry. I forgot you're carrying our child and you're oversensitive. I do love you very much and don't want you to keep going through this drama, but we have plans, and if you act off of your emotions, you will hinder all of our plans in the future. It's very hard to see it now, but it's the truth.
So, you know, this girl's having reservations. This girl is scared. She's going through hormonal changes. She's pregnant. He's afraid he's going to get caught. So this is the things that he's saying, that he's whispering those sweet nothings in her ear to keep her in his box, to keep up with those lies. Because listen, biologically, when a woman gets pregnant, she wants that man for herself because she wants her child to have a father in its life. So naturally, she's going to be like, well, what is our future? What do we got going on here? You're going to stay with my aunt? You need to leave my aunt and be with me. Remember, she's a child. She doesn't understand that that's not possible. She doesn't understand that Quiles can't announce to the world that his true love is Iyana Sawyer and he's leaving his wife for her because everybody will say, okay, and watch how quickly the aunt becomes number one witness for the state. If he says, I don't want my wife no more, I want Iyana Sawyer, watch how quickly the aunt calls 911 and make sure that she reports him and she's the numero uno witness for the state. He knows that. He knows that if anybody finds out definitively outside of the family, because we know this family is good at keeping secrets, that the moment somebody outside of the family finds out about this illicit, disgusting, degenerate rape affair, that he would be spending the rest of his life in prison. He wants to keep this little girl in a box, keep her isolated, keep her maintaining this dirty secret of a lie so he could keep, number one, taking advantage of her, and number two, maintaining his freedom. Do me a favor, guys, before we keep going. Hit that like button. It takes 2 seconds to hit the like button. Please show the channel some love.
And the next entry?
8/22/2018, 2 o'clock. The day Uncle John told you that Maya liked Ken, they were already dating, and the very next day was the first day that they met up, they had sex, and then on his birthday they had sex.
And the next entry?
8/22/2018, 4:29. You know what I'm talking about, but you want to play dumb. It's cool. Our whole relationship, all that you lied about to me, all of it, because I know all of the stuff you think I don't. Let's try this again.
The next entry?
8/22/2018, 4:29. Okay, then I pray whenever you get ready to tell me the truth, you will, and see how much further we will go. But until then, this is what it is.
And the next entry?
Okay. 8/23/2018, 3:13. I lied about not.
And before he continues, he alludes in, you know, a few text messages up of these young children having sex with other people. That's what I read it as. He's talking about another relationship where another uncle had sex with presumably, possibly a child. So this stuff is crazy, man. This is generational stuff. And this happens every single day in our communities. This is generational trauma. These people are using these children as toys, as their fiefdoms to enact their degenerate desires. This is disgusting. These people are related to these kids. These kids look like them. These kids share blood with them in many instances. Something's got to give. The whole country needs to enact Florida's laws where the death penalty is given to people who have intercourse with these kids. And I think we need to raise it a little bit higher. I think 13 is too low. I think we need to go to 14 years old. I think we need to go to 14 years old, 1-4. If you have intercourse with a 14-year-old or younger, you should get the death penalty, man. Let's keep going. Protect the children, ladies and gentlemen. Protect the children.
Liking Maya and wanting to do things with her. I started the whole thing. I told you that I was only talking to
Oh, by the way, he's talking about her sister right now. He's talking to Iyana Sawyer about her sister, the relationship he had with her sister.
you, but I was also talking to Maya. The only reason we didn't do it more than once was because she found out that we were doing things and she didn't want nothing to do with me. I did kiss her down there once only. That was the same day we did it. I told you things to like me more, and when I told you that I wanted you to see our other people, I was lying, %2C. I talked to Mai about you and our problems all of the time, %2C. At first, I told you I was going to...
When he says a %2C stuff, I think these are like emojis or something like that. But when they print it out, it breaks the emojis down into like the characters that make up the emojis. Just to let you guys know. Let's keep going.
Give you a baby to keep. I wasn't being serious, but once I seen how happy you were, I decided to give you 2 once you get older. After I found out about you and the boy, I was going to sex your sister to hurt you like you hurt.
Same thing with Stephen Stearns, guys. Remember how Stephen Stearns was seething when he found out that Madeline Soto had a crush on a boy? Crushes. Remember we said that? We played that multiple times. Crushes. Crushes. She had a crush on a boy. Crush on a boy. Crushes. Let's keep going.
Hurt me, but she didn't want to, so it never happened. I told you I had cameras up in the house. It not true. I know the truth from something else, which I'm not going to say. I get info from your mom and aunts about you and tell them things so you won't be with nobody else, %2C. I said I'm not...
He said he gets info from the moms and the aunts. You could look at it in different ways. You could look at it as though he's manipulating them to, throw salt on these girls' relationships. Like, yo, I think she's messing with that guy. We should look into it in order to disrupt their personal lives outside of his relationships with these girls. Or you could look into it that these ladies knew what he was doing and was helping him facilitate these relationships. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying there's different ways of looking at it, because guess what? I'm going to tell you another thing that I think might have been going on here. And we got 292 people watching this live stream. Can we get up to 300 people? And for the 292 people who are here, can you please hit that like button? Please do that for me. But I think he slept with some of these aunts too. And it might be something they would never admit. Why would they admit it now? Number one, it destroyed whatever relationship they have left with his wife, who's their sister. And number two, they'd just be admitting that they had sex with a guy who's a child molester and is doing life in prison. There's no gains in it. Some secrets you die with, right? I think this guy was sleeping with the whole damn family, guys. Here's this Rico Suave, curly-haired little yellow-boned dude. We know how some people are colorists in some of these poor communities. They look at that stuff as a standard of beauty because they've been indoctrinated into that slave mentality, that the lighter the skin, the prettier you are. I think these ladies was enamored with this Flavio wannabe guy, and I think they all slept with him. And I don't care if they get mad. It's just my opinion. I have no proof of it. I think they all slept with this guy. I think every single one of these women was sleeping with this guy, and they were all holding his secrets, and this whole family was his fiefdom. That's why he was able to do whatever the hell he wanted to do. Let's keep going.
Bothered by your actions anymore, but that's far from the truth. I hate when you are looking at other people, %2C. I hate when you talk to other people, %2C. I have your friends, %2C, neighbors. I hate that you still talk to that boy. I hate that you talk to other people on your social network, Instagram, Snapchat, and some other things you have, %2C. I act like I have hacked your phone and I don't know what's going.
And the next entry?
8/23/2018, 3/18. I stopped wanting Maya.
You hear this shit? Trying to find my way. I got info from your mom and aunts about you and tell them things you won't be with nobody else. isolating his little girls. I said I'm not bothered by your actions anymore, but that's far from the truth. I hate when you are looking at other people. I hate when you talk to other people. I have your friends, neighbors. I hate that you still talk to that boy. I hate that you talk to other people on your social network, Instagram, Snapchat, and some other things you have. I act like I haven't hacked your phone and I don't know what's going. This guy was obsessed with this child. How can anybody look at this child and say that this child was somehow loosey-goosey and was asking for it? This is a grown man who's isolating and basically stalking this child. This is a grown man who is grooming, and like somebody said in the chat, Presumed Hostile says, emotionally extorting this child. This child is not equipped for this type of conversation. Most grown women aren't equipped to deal with these type of situations. And this child was dealing with it. This is what the predators do. This is how they isolate their prey. This is how the cycle continues, ladies and gentlemen. Let's keep going.
After she turned me down the last time, I got it in my head that it's not going to happen. She said, just laid there, say no, and she was much looser than you.
Oh my God, do you hear about that? That's him describing sleeping with her sister. I stopped wanting Maya after she turned me down the last time. I got it in my head that it's not going to happen. And she just laid there, say no, and she much looser than you. So she told him no, but he still did it. And then he just denigrated her for not being able to please him. When you read the Bible, for you Christians out there, if you're not a Christian, it's perfectly fine. And you read about that beast, that dragon. This is the dragon. This is the beast. They walk amongst us, ladies and gentlemen. Disgusting. And this is a minor he's talking about right here. Maya is a minor.
Okay, and the next entry?
8/23/2018, 10:30. You see, what you don't get is I don't give a fuck about what Maya do. I only care about what you do. And like I said in my truth letter to you, I would tell you aunt and mom about things so you...
Be careful, and your mom.
I would tell you aunt and your mom about things so you could only be with me. But you might only read the Maya part and disregard the rest.
And the next entry?
8/24/2018, 12:54. That's how it should be. If Jaco comes at you in a inappropriate way, you should tell me ASAP so I can deal with it right away. And if I question him in front of you, you should be straightforward with it all so he knows you're off limits.
And the next entry?
8/25/2018, 7/11, and it appears to be another picture.
And can you describe what we're looking at?
It is another screenshot of a text message from Uncle John.
And could you just read the bubbles, please?
So, yes. Yeah, text your aunt too, love. What's wrong, baby? Snap me. Yeah. Talk to me. Why are you crying? Hello. WTF, yeah. What happened from when we was talking?
Somebody said I look handsome in my glasses yesterday. You guys know I like being complimented. So I got my glasses. Let me stop playing because we're talking about a heavy topic. This topic is heavy as hell. All right, let's keep going. And when I left to go run and get the glasses, I heard him talking about him telling her if some guy bothers her that he'll take care of it. The only person that needs to be taken care of is you because you're the beast, but let's keep going. So let's see what they're talking about here on this text message.
To now. Are you serious right now? Okay, then, GN, I love you. And then at the bottom, you can make out that it says, I knocked out.
And look what the title is up there, Uncle John. Uncle. Big shout out to Jamie Pease, who gave a 1 gift membership to the Strategic Eyes Show. Whoever got that gift membership, please thank Jamie. It's very kind of her to extend herself that way. Thank you so much, Jamie, for supporting the channel. 291 people watching. We can't get to 300 for some reason. We just can't break that 300 mark. But for the people who are watching, please hit that like button so we can get those likes up. Maybe, just maybe, YouTube will put us in a wider audience, give us to a wider audience, and we can get past 300. We're at 6 people away from 300. Please, YouTube gods, let's get 6 more people on this thread. Let's keep going.
And the next entry?
8/26/2018, 11:19. LOL, you will be my best friend. Went, you're pregnant. I'll cook for you until you can't eat no more.
And the next entry?
8/27/2018, 101. Because I want to take care of you.
And the next entry?
8/27/2018, 10:29. I was on the roof and you told me to see if the chimney was connected to the other apartment so you could talk to that boy. I said, yeah, and you started to make plans to change your school schedule so you can meet up with him and go to a hotel. I started to cry and then I woke up.
And the next entry?
8/28/2018, 113. Yeah, I can hear it now. If a fire, Yaya, %2C, where Jaco, %2C, in my pants, Yaya, you want to put it out? I can't.
The next entry?
8/28/2000.
This bull crap, man. This dude is talking like he's a child. There's a fire in his pants if you want to put it out. What the hell is wrong with this guy? We're at 300. Thank you so much, YouTube gods, for getting us 300 people, 302 people streaming. I appreciate it. We just went down to 95, 295. It's all good. We made the 200. Whether we go up or down, doesn't matter. We made it. I'm happy. I appreciate it. I do want to give a shout out to Susan Furvich, who's now a member again. Susan kind of pops in, pops out with the membership. We do appreciate you for becoming a member again, Susan. Thank you so much. Let's keep going.
2018, 12/29. I'm Nim, being a B. I just want you to be okay, and I want to know where I stand with you, so I'm not just surprised later that you've been with someone else and or you are talking to someone else. That's what I mean. I'd rather you just tell me up front so I can be prepared.
And the next entry?
8/29/2018, 12/10. I've been kicked down there so many
Detective Adam, just take your time, okay? Make sure you're reading word.
Yes, ma'am.
Exact word. Just take your time.
Yeah, and this is very difficult. Like, the detective has to read it into the record. They can't just put in a record. He's a custodian of it. He's the one who dumped the phone. He or got the search warrants or whatever. He has to read it into the record. It's very tedious. It's very time consuming. And you do get fatigued when you're reading a lot. Even when I'm a good reader, but when I'm reading like tons of stuff, I'll get eye fatigue. I'll get brain fatigue where it's like, oh my God, I'm reading. So this is very difficult what he's doing. Big shout out to LaToya from Harlem. Like, my first real girlfriend when I was growing up, her name was LaToya. LaToya from Harlem said, I shared this to my Facebook groups. That's all we're asking for, guys. You know, we're a YouTube channel. We love super chats. We love memberships. We love Patreon. That's what helps the show keep going. We have a nice audience that is very dedicated, but we have a small channel. So we don't get the big views that the other channels get where you could look and say, oh, they're making money. Look all the views they're getting. We don't. You know, we're working on 2,000 views with our last show. We don't. So the super chats, the memberships, the Patreons, that's what helps us come back and keep making videos. But the long-term success of this channel is predicate on you guys doing what LaToya from Harlem did, which is share it with your friends and family. Don't rely on the algorithm to share it to people. You share it. You click the share button, you put it in your Facebook, you put it in your Instagram, you get us out there to a wider audience. That's what will help this show grow. And I thank you so much, LaToya, for doing that and for letting us know. Big shout out to Riri004 with a $4.99 super sticker. We do appreciate you. Thank you for supporting the channel. Let's keep going.
I've been kicked down there so much, I'm not sure how you're even pregnant.
How you're even pregnant.
How you're even pregnant.
Wow.
Thank you. The next entry?
8/29.
You know what's so funny? These guys are so reckless because they don't even understand or even care about biology. So he felt like because he's got kicked in his nuts 1,000 times, he probably got kicked there because he's a pedo, and women kicked him there to defend themselves. without any scientific fact, without getting any testing. He assumes that he's infertile. And then, you know, you're having unprotected sex with this child and you're ejaculating inside the child. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? She's going to get pregnant. And then what? You kill her because she's pregnant. You are the adult. You made horrible mistakes, and then you make her pay with her life for the choices and the mistakes that you made. Why didn't you just off yourself? If you don't want to go to prison, off yourself. Did you really think that you were smarter than the rest of us? You think you were smarter than the detectives, smarter than the district attorney, smarter than the scientists and the laboratory technicians who are going to be testing the evidence? You think you were smarter than everybody else? That you could murder this child and nobody would find out about it, and you would just be able to ride off into the sunset and move on with your life. It doesn't work that way. These guys are so ignorant. So ignorant. Let's keep going.
2018, 5:59. It's a picture.
And can you describe it, please?
It is a screenshot of a photograph of two people having sex, and it says favorite position.
And the next entry?
9/2/2018 at 2:03. It says, ha ja 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 ja. First off, that boy don't know how to fight. %2C. 2, I've been fighting all of my life. I can take hits there. I could stand there and let him punch me, and it would have no effect. All of me at all. On me at all. Although I look out of shape, I'm very seasoned. Just 2 days ago, I beat the shit out of someone. I believe I'm going to be okay. You see, I told him to wait until everyone leaves. Not for me, it's so when I knock him on his ass, his pride.
I mean, this is just so. I'm bored. I'm not gonna lie to you, because listening to this guy posturing for this little girl, because that's all he's doing. He's posturing. He's trying to make himself seem big and bad to play to her animal brain. That's all he's doing. He's just posturing. And he's talking about beating up a little boy, his rival, somebody who's her peer. That's what he's talking about. Big shout out to Susan Furvick, who just upgraded her membership to Patrol. Big shout out to H. Singh, who with a $2.99 super sticker. Thank you so much, guys. It's really annoying listening to this. Let me see here. What? You'll just wait for me. I'll kill you. Let's go over here to this one. We're going to skip over. And then we'll end it here. I want to go over to this I will kill you thing.
And the next entry?
9/4/2018, 9:27. I'm very aggravated right now. I'm going to hit you later.
And the next entry?
9/7/2018, 12:21. Yeah, so I need you to be like 100% with me at all times. I'm just so in love with you. I'll kill you and cry.
Oh my God.
And the next
When somebody tell you they'll kill you, you better believe it. Somebody tells you that if I lose you or if you leave me, I'll kill you, you better believe it. And that does not mean you staying fair. It just means that you plan your exit and you plan it well. Somebody tells you, I'll kill you if you leave me, you better believe it. He told her, I love you. I just so in love with you, I'll kill you and I'll cry. This was a monster, and he predicted the future. Let's keep going.
9/17/2018, 1:34. No, it seems like you the one that wants that, but you don't want to hurt my feelings, so you rather start up your bullshit again so I can leave you. Look, I don't have time for all of your little games. You like to play like I'm stupid and don't see what the fuck is going on. I trust you until you start lying to me again. Just like how all of a sudden you back playing your Sims game full time again to the point you don't have time for me no more. I won't be surprised that you don't telk the next.
And the N word?
Yes, it's the N word.
Okay, go ahead.
The same thing you tell me just so you do fuck up. Like the name you keep saying when we fucking.
I think it's kind of corny that we live in a society where this cop is like reading out what this be said, and he can't even say the N-word. I want to hear it in context. I don't care about all that social bullcrap that we got brewing in the world. This is what this monster said. Just say it. Nobody's going to think you're saying the N-word because you're racist. No, you're reading out the evil words of a pedophile. We're just too PC in this world, and I hate it. I really, really do. Read what this monster said. You didn't say it. It's what he said. We're adults. We can figure it out. We get it. We move on.
When you about to come and catch yourself.
And the next message?
9/17/2018 at 1:43. I do you just keep lying to me, then you try to make it as if I'm the one going behind your back with who though? I don't fuck with your sister. I don't talk to nobody but your ass. I'm just tired of your games. I'm getting getting very old sometimes. I wish I wasn't so deep in love with you. Okay, I won't keep talking all of the bullshit you give me.
All right, so this is him. You know, we're gonna stop it here. He's being manipulative. He's basically just telling her what she want to hear, making her feel special. You know, teenage girls like drama. They like to feel wanted. They like to feel desired. Everybody wants to feel that way, but it's heightened with teenage girls. We all were teens at that time. They love, you know, testing how you feel about them. And he's playing into that to make this girl feel like she's special. He is grooming her and manipulating her. It's just disgusting. I'll read this last line because it's on my screen. It says, I expect you to like other people, but you can't even admit that. You're 16 and H all of the time. Why wouldn't you? I don't know what H means, but whatever. But the fact that you just can't be real about it is sickening to me. So now he's once again manipulating her. Like, she's probably saying, no, I don't like anybody. I only like you. And he's like, no, you're not being honest. You're 16. Of course you like other people. Just be honest with me. You like other people, right? So they're only reading out his messages. They're not reading out her messages. They're not reading out her messages. They're reading out his messages. So you think that she's dramacidal and she's filled with the drama, but she's not. He's making the drama to make her fall in love with him more. Like Jeep Sahara says, he's gaslighting her. He's gaslighting her. So don't get it twisted. Don't think from what he's writing that she's on the other end, fanning the flames, you know, being difficult, playing games, playing coy, bringing drama into the world. No, she's not doing that. He's manufacturing this stuff in order to rope her in further. And that's so disgusting. We literally watched this man groom this little girl. It breaks my heart, guys. Guys, I really appreciate you guys joining me today. But I got to get ready to go to work and do my thing. And I just got to say thank you for all 304 people who came through to support this young lady, support these young women, period, to help bring a voice to the voiceless. It does break my heart, though. It does break my heart that most of these little girls who are on your screen, unfortunately, have not gotten the attention that they deserve. It breaks my heart. But that's the world that we live in. That's the society we live in. So let's be that change. Let's be that change. Let's all promise to cover these stories. Let's all promise to support channels, not just my channel, but all channels who cover these stories of these missing and abused little girls and little boys that don't get mainstream attention. Don't just pop in because you want to get the latest scoop on the Madeline Soto case, of which her face is up here too. God rest her soul. Make sure that you're watching these other kids as well, that you're giving a voice to the voiceless. Because Naziah Harris deserves it, and Iyana Sawyer deserved it too. This is not entertainment. This is real life, guys. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you guys for joining me today. I think we had a good show. I hope you guys learned a lot about Iyana Sawyer. If you want to learn a lot about Naziah Harris, go check the video that I did right before this, the live show I did right before this. We talked all about Naziah Harris. And if you want to hear a little bit more about Madeline Soto, we do have a scheduled live show for tomorrow. on Madeline Soto. We will be here and we will discuss Madeline Soto tomorrow. New recordings came out. Plunder dropped it. We're going to be analyzing it. It's with one of her teachers, I believe. So it should be interesting to get some insight into how Madeline Soto was in school, because that was a place where there was a missed opportunity, in my opinion. School was a missed opportunity to help Madeline Soto. So make sure you join me tomorrow so we can analyze the school teacher's interview. But other than that, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you become a member of the Strategic Eyes Show. Make sure that you join the Patreon. And most and importantly, please make sure that you hit that like button and you put a comment inside of the comment section. So let me cue up that outro, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.